about cyber, you think Israel. The Israeli cyber industry is among the top in the world, leading breakthrough technologies and advanced cyber defense systems, and
Good morning, everybody. We will be starting in 2 minutes. We're just letting the last people join.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor for me to welcome you to this second edition of the Cybersecurity Professional Workshop. My name is Edem Kofi Evuche. I'm General Secretary of the Ghana-Israel Business Chamber. The Chamber is a private sector, not-for-profit association established in 2016 to be a bridge for the exchange of trade and economic opportunities between Ghana and Israel. And we have had the privilege of working in partnership with the Trade and Economic Mission of the Embassy of Israel to put together this event. In a short while, Ms. Ayelet Kapp, who heads the Trade Mission, will open the event officially with her address. But before that, I would like to lay down some ground rules. I would like to entreat every participant, speakers, and the audience to keep to time if they have the opportunity to speak. The event will have a breakup session, we'll have a B2B session. Sorry, there will be breakup rooms after the general presentation, and the breakup session will happen in separate rooms. And we entreat each participant to select which breakup room they would want to participate in if you have not done that already. So if you have not done that already, you could drop a chat in the chat window or send a message to my colleague Mamiya, who will make sure that you join the appropriate breakup room after the general presentation. Also, after the breakup rooms, there will be B2B meetings. And if you have not scheduled a B2B meeting already, I would entreat you to drop a message in the chat box or send a message also to Mamiya, and she will try as much as possible within the time that we have leading to the B2B meetings to send you a form which you can complete, and that will help us to set up your B2B meetings. If you are not able to have your B2B meetings immediately after the breakup rooms, you should not be worried, because after the event, there will be follow-up activities that could result in B2B meetings with the Israeli companies that you would like to engage with. So without taking too much more of your time, I would like to hand over now to Ms. Ayelet Kapp for her opening address. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam, and good morning to everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I want to welcome us to this training. It is important for me to give a little bit maybe of the reasoning of the event, and I see that there are also questions about the B2B, so let me just put it all in maybe a little bit of a framing for a few minutes. So as everybody, I'm sure most of you are aware, Israel is privileged to be a world leader in cybersecurity. There are more than 400 active Israeli cybersecurity companies. 5% of the global market is actually in Israel, and you need to remember it's a country of only 8 million people, second only to the US. 15% of global investment in cybersecurity is going to Israel, and Israel exports over $3.5 billion of export of services in the cybersecurity space. Being a world leader is, of course, a great privilege and holds a lot of benefits for the state of Israel, but it's also a great responsibility. And part of that sense of responsibility comes in our activities to make sure that we are in the side of the good people and that we are helping the world protect themselves from the increasing cybersecurity threats. Because as the world is becoming more and more digitalized, and as Ghana is becoming more and more digitalized, the cybersecurity threats only rise and, of course, touch every sector of the economy. And that's why we decided to create these cyber training sessions that are here in place to try to bring as much of the most relevant and last, things that are going on in the sector. And we also tried to make it as focused as possible. And that's why we have the breakout rooms in different sectors to make sure that we are not only talking in a very general sense, but actually able to touch on specific issues that, of course, are different between different sectors. And that's why we have the government breakup, the infrastructure, and the finance, which you will be able to choose after. All of our speakers, one speaker is coming from the government, and the rest of the speakers are coming from different companies. So even though they are talking and they will give some of the knowledge from working in this space, there is an option, if you are interested, to also further engage with them if any questions come up, if you want to deepen your relationship with these companies, and that's what the B2Bs are meant for. So, of course, it is completely fine to just enjoy the training and the session and have the knowledge and continue and hopefully becoming a better and more experienced cybersecurity specialist. But again, there is an option for a few spots to have a further conversation with the speakers, and that's just something that we want you to keep in mind. So with that, I will just finish by saying a few words about me and us. So my name is Ayelet Levin-Karp, like was mentioned, and I head the Trade and Economic Mission here in Accra, Ghana. We sit at the Israeli Embassy and are sent by the Israeli Ministry of Economy and Industry. Our job is to promote business relationships and economic ties between Ghana, West Africa, and Israel. And we are happy to do it in many different ways. This event is, of course, one of these ways, but there's many other activities that we do. We advise that you stay in touch, introduce yourself to us, and of course, make sure to follow our social media, especially LinkedIn page, where we post a lot of the activities and the different engagement opportunities that we create. Thank you very much, and I hope you will find this training interesting and useful, like it was meant and designed for. So thank you very much, and of course, thank you for our speakers that took the time to come and join us today and share some of the knowledge with us. Back to you, Adam.
Thank you very much, Ayelet. I would move straight now to our first speaker. I hope that Mr. Boaz Dolev is ready to take the stage. Mr. Dolev, I hand over to you now.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor for me to attend this event. Actually, the cyber arena is a huge challenge, but first of all, I want to thank everyone who have organized this event, everyone who has been working, and of course, everyone who is attending this event. During my presentation, you can ask questions, you can interrupt, you can write it in the chat. I'm looking at the chat right now, so I will see your questions, and you're really welcome to ask, intervene, and share your thoughts about what we do. I will try to give you, I'm going to share my presentation right now. I'm not going to do it in full presentation mode. Just 1 minute. Okay. Do you see my presentation right now, Ayelet?
Yes, we do. We can see it.
Okay. So I will leave it like this, not in a full presentation mode. If you have any questions or whatever, you're welcome to ask. I'm going to talk about the cyber challenges in the past year or so and give you a hint about what we see right now all over the world, and of course try to figure out what's going on right now in Ghana. I will give you a brief about Clear Sky. This is just 2 pages. It's nothing. I'm not going to talk about the company right now. So very quick view of the company. So we have 3 team leaders. The first one is me. I'm the CEO of Clear Sky. I founded the company in 2011. I have more than 25 years of experience in cyberspace. I've created the GovIL Central Cyber Center for the government of Israel. I left the government in 2009, and I'm in the arena for a long, long time. With me, Mr. Avi Nagar, who is a VP of Special Operations, and also Galia, who is a VP in Special Operations. Special Operations looks a bit suspicious, so just for you to know, even right now, we're handling something like 2 ransomware attacks against our clients. And when we mean special operations, we are talking about helping in real time customers that were attacked, and I would say everyone who wants our help. So we have a proactive cyber solution. The first one is threat intelligence. The second one is IR and PT services. We are doing a lot of tabletop exercises for C3, for CEOs and high rank, even directors. We provide end-to-end solutions. And if you are looking at our clients, 80% of them are coming from the financial sector, Israeli banks, insurance companies, credit card companies, critical infrastructure, pharma, health, and other companies. This was the only sentences that I'm going to speak about Clear Sky, and that's it. Let's talk a bit about Ghana Cyber Arena. So I would share with you some of, I would say, the methodology or what we do in order to find out what's the risk. What is the current cyber risk against a nation, against a sector, and against a company? So we have 4 circles of threats. It will help you a lot to try to figure out and always classify what are the threat and what is the threat. So the first one is global threat. I will give you an example in a minute for a global cyber threat that you will be able to look and find out yourself. Every week there are new global threats. And I will give you an example in a minute. The second circle is national threats. I will give you my, I would say, assessment about the national threats to Ghana in the cyber arena. And we also talk about sector threats. The financial sector or the critical infrastructure sector are not facing the same cyber threats. Each and every one of them, each and every sector has his own threats. Just for an example, let's look at what happened this year in the COVID-19 area. So all the companies that were developing vaccines for COVID-19 were attacked. They were attacked by nation states. They wanted to steal the formula for the vaccine. They were attacked by criminals who wanted to steal it and sell it for a lot of money. And they were attacked by, I would say, lone hackers who wanted to get information about what's going on. So until 2019 or 2020, January 20, nobody knew what is Moderna, and nobody cares about what Moderna was developing. But since the first hint that Moderna is developing a vaccine, this day, they became a target to cyber attacks. So we are talking on a dynamic stage and on a dynamic threat, which is changing all the time. It is not like that this is a constant threat and everything is okay. No, you need to be very agile when you try to figure out and you try to, I would say, figure the risk of what's going on right now. Just for an example, if we are talking about the financial sector, let's talk about the cryptocurrency exchange companies. Since the Bitcoin has jumped to something like, right now it's around $30,000 one Bitcoin, and it was 60,000, most of the exchanges were attacked on a daily basis from a lot of cyber, I would say, groups, starting from nation grab, like North Korea, and ending with hackers. But this is all became critical when the Bitcoin jumped from something like $10,000 to something like $30,000 and $60,000. And of course, we are talking about direct threat. Every company is being attacked. It can be attacked by a criminal. It can be attacked by somebody who is trying to steal their IP, and can be attacked for many reasons. Let's talk about Ghana and try to figure out what's the internet infrastructure statistics right now for Ghana. So first of all, when we try to figure out what's the level of threat, we try to do what we call the attack surface mapping. And as you can see here, there are something like 37,457 IPs, which are working in right now, open to the internet in Ghana. And you can see that it is located in cities. Most of the, I would say, the computers that are connected to the internet are in Accra. I would say really like 90% are in Accra, and the other 10% are spread around in Ghana. You can see what are the top ports, but also you can look about the top organizations. So most of the IPs or the servers that are connected to the internet are under Ghana Telecommunication Company. And this is the most, if we are talking about what is the biggest internet provider or the biggest IP provider, then Ghana Telecommunication Company is in the front in Ghana. This helps us a lot trying to figure out, let's say, if you want to defend a state, first of all, you are going to Ghana Telecommunication and say, okay, what are you doing right now in order to protect all your computers from cyber attack? So this is like the first, I would say, glimpse of what's going on right now. I have to tell you that a previous scan that I've done like 3 or 4 months ago, the number was 50,000 IPs. So there is a change. I'm not sure why this change was done, but it might be from good reasons. I mean, if somebody, let's say that Ghana had computers that just open and nobody did anything from them, then the reduction in the number of IPs that are open to the internet might be a good thing that was done. Maybe trying to defend better the infrastructure of Ghana. But I do not have the answers. I'm just looking and scanning and trying to figure out what's going on. I also looked at a repository which is saying how many IPs under Ghana domain seems to be malicious. and seems to be spreading malware around the world. So I have to tell you the number is really pretty low. It's 567 IPs that are infected or trying to spread the malware. And you need to understand that this is like an example of something that we can do for each organization, whether it's something like a small company, a big company, an enterprise, a nation state. We do, I would say, we try to get a full picture of what's going on right now. And from what I see here, this number is really pretty low. It can be, I would say, controlled. It can be managed. I mean, taking care of 567, let's say, IPs is much easier than taking care of 1 million or 2 million IPs. So you're in a good status. I have to tell you that the numbers, from what I see from open and my repositories, are can be, you know, you can protect your nation, I would say, quite in a good manner. I try to look at what are the main challenges or the main cyber threats for Ghana. I mean, Ghana as a state. So I would say that looking from here, and really I'm not talking every day or every morning to someone from Ghana, I would say that cybercrime is the most, I would say, the highest threat right now to companies. I'm not talking about the government. Government are always been attacked by nation states and a lot of other actors. But if we are looking about companies, then the most, I would say, the attack vectors are coming from East Europe cybercrime groups. I think that they are really working very hard this year. And they are a huge challenge. And I'm sure, without even talking to you, that there are companies in Ghana that were hurt. Some companies in Ghana must have gotten a ransomware attack, and their computers were encrypted. Their IP was stolen, and even maybe money was thrown out from their computers and sent to other unknown addresses. The other cybercrime group who is working very hard in your region is Nigeria. Nigeria cybercrime groups are a huge challenge. And I think that, you know, if Ghana has any relations with Nigeria, I think it has, the time has arrived to put the pressure on Nigeria to try to take care of all those cybercrime groups who are doing huge amounts of scams all over the world, and they are based in Nigeria. If we are talking about national threats against the Ghana as a state, then I would say that North Korea is actually working very hard in your region. I'm not sure about other state actors, but I know that maybe you have any confrontation with other nations in Africa, then that might be someone who is trying to get information through the cyber arena. And I haven't gone into the geopolitical arena trying to figure out what's going on there. But I presume, like every other state around the world, I will talk a bit about Israel. Then Israel is being attacked by our, I would say, challenging nations like Iran, like maybe Hezbollah, like other nation states that are a threat to us. So you know who are your, let's say, your challenges. And then we are talking about sectorial threats. I mean, who wants to steal money right now from banks? And there are a lot of cyber crime groups who are attacking, let's say, the infrastructure of banks. This morning, just as I speak to you, there is an attempt to do a large-scale attack on one of Israeli banks. Just this morning. And this is like an attack that they are checking right now. So as I told you before, as I showed you in a previous presentation, you can divide the risk and the attacks into groups, and it will help you understand what's going on in the cyber arena. So,
sorry, boss.
Yes, sure, please.
Sorry, if you could go back to the last slide. And then, yeah, so if you could just touch a little on the national threat again, and then with the explanation you were giving about North Korea, I didn't quite get it clearly here. Are we saying that we having some threats as a nation, I mean, as Ghana, having some threats from those areas of North Korea?
Yes, I will explain North Korea. Actually, North Korea is a bit surprising because North Korea, their main target is to get to steal funds, to get money. Most of the budget is coming from, I would say, cyber attacks. They do not have a lot of money from their own developments, their own companies, their own whatever. And they have special units, a special cyber unit, which has something like 4,000 elite hackers. And their job is to steal money. So they are like a cyber crime group, and they are working all over the world. We were amazed of the scales of attacks that they are producing, and they are trying to steal money. So if you're talking, let's say, other nation states, they are trying to steal information. They are trying to do espionage. But if we are talking about North Korea is working like a cyber crime organization. This is why North Korea is also working in Africa and trying to steal money also there. Most of the time, you will not know that they are working from North Korea. It took us a while to understand and to, let's say, figure out the riddle of what exactly they are doing. Does this help you?
Yeah, to some extent. So I think we can go on and then.
Okay. So we've seen this week, a global threat, a supply chain attack, which was done against Cassia. This is an American company who is actually helping control and manage large amounts of computer all around the world. And they, by, I would say, sending malicious software to update their clients, the attackers have, in one moment, were able to encrypt more than 1,000 plus businesses that were encrypted in one moment because of the malicious update to their software that was sent to the clients. So we're talking about a supply chain attack. It has nothing to do with Ghana. It has nothing to do with Israel. But if you are a client of Cassia and you are managing your computers with this software, then there is a big chance that you will be infected with no connections to right now to Ghana, to the sector, the financial sector. There are kindergartens, there are schools that were encrypted by this attack. SolarWinds is another case that is a global threat that used to infect even companies in Israel, but all over the world by a global threat. So when I'm talking about global threat, this is an example. I want to talk about the COVID-19 major cyber effect. I do not have a lot of time. I will try to give you my, I would say, insights. So the fact is that a lot of organizations and companies have shifted their operations online and have their staff work from home. Working from home means that you need to create someone who is working maybe on his home computer, or maybe his computer is from the office, but he needs to connect to the internet. He needs to work with an internet connection from home, which is not secured. It's not from the office. You need to get some kind of authentication that will be able to authenticate from home. He needs to get some VPN connection. He needs to work on his computer only on his office stuff, but he's working from home, but you do not control 24 hours a day his environment. So the result was that the potential attack surface was becoming almost uncontrollable. And we have seen dozens and hundreds of companies that were attacked through VPNs, through the connections from home. And the attack surface, it takes a lot of time to organizations to try to figure out what to do and how to maintain the workers and protect their assets, even if they are working from home. And this is a huge challenge. And I do not think that it is over right now. I think that it will take at least 1 more year for organizations to learn and to do what needs to be done in order to protect themselves. So the large attack surface, which coupled with more sophisticated methods adopted by hackers. Sorry, please. Yes. Any question?
Boaz, please go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So the large attack surface and increase the risk of organizations falling prey to ransomware attacks, to espionage attacks, to IP stealing. And this is all, I would say, the post of the COVID-19 major cyber effect. And if you want to be more prepared, you need to understand exactly how to protect your, let's say, employee from who's working from home. And it's a huge challenge. Hasn't been solved yet, but we are going in the right direction. But if you look at the attack vectors this year, you will see that number one were all the email servers, mainly Exchange. The second one was all the VPNs, starting with Pulse Secure, with other Citrix VPNs, Fortinet VPNs, and everyone were under attack in order to create, I would say, find the right key to get into companies using the connection which is being used right now by the workers. This is a frightening slide. Actually, I think that you should take my slides, rip them all, and just keep this thing. When we sat down, try to figure out what's the attack surface that is right now in the cyber arena, or what can be done in order to penetrate into a company or into a personal worker and get, I would say, hold in his assets and maybe attack him. So it is, there are something like 6 items here. One is the personal environment. The other one is the personal office environment. The third one is the office environment. And then we are talking about the connection to the customer, all the cloud services, and of course, third-party vendors and applications. Just for an example, if you want to get control on my computer at home, you might want to attack the home router, the home smart TV, the home physical infrastructure, the personal email, not the company email. So if I'm working on 2 emails, one is the personal email from home, and somebody got control of my personal email through phishing, then he might jump to the company email if I'm working from the same computer. So an attack vector from a lot of companies, you can see that it started by home computer that has 2 emails. And the first attack vector was trying to get into the home email. and from there, jump to the office email. You can see here, I think that we have really covered all the environment of the personnel, the person himself, that might be a vector for, let's say, attacking himself. So if we are having right now a company which was breached, and we're trying to figure out how did it happen, what was the attack vector, then we start, of course, from the office environment. We are looking at the network, we are looking at the servers, at the computers, maybe the printers, but then we try to figure out whether this person has a laptop that he's taking to home every day. What is the connection between him and the in the office environment? And then we go into, I would say, personal environment, trying to figure out whether this was the cause of the attack. So the attack surface is something that you need to understand in order to try to figure out what happened. And a lot of the times, it's really very hard to understand what is happening. And just to let you know, only by looking at this, you understand how complicated it is to protect someone from attacks. So if, let's say, somebody is telling me, our office network, our office servers, computers, printers, email, everything is protected 100%. Then I can ask him, wonderful, but what's going on at home? And when I'm talking to him about what's going on at home, he just became quiet because he doesn't know what's going on at home. I'm not talking about cloud services. So if right now you have, let's say you're working from Microsoft 365, from Gmail, from Google, from Amazon, then they are also need to be protected, and they also have their own, I would say, failures, their own, I would say, places that can be attacked. So my, I would say for you is my, let's say, advice for you. You need to look at this and trying to figure out, when you are saying we are protected, which kind of areas you are protected, just to let you know what is still remaining, I would say, open, and for you to understand what can be the attack vector that you did not predict. I did some kind of scanning again of, I would say, servers that are open right now for attacks in Ghana. So there are several, not a lot. There is an example here of an Outlook server which serves the Lands Commission in Ghana. I just did it yesterday, and this is part of the service that we supply. We are always scanning to look whether there are servers that might be breached. And I can say to you with estimation of almost 99%, I'm sure that this server is hacked. I'm sure because this vulnerability is really huge, and this server was not patched. So I would look at this, the domain is lc.gov.gh. I would look at this as a breached server. I would re-establish it on another server. And this is part of the work that we do. We try to estimate the risk, and we always try to figure out, are there any vulnerable assets that are open right now? Just for an example, you ask about North Korea. So you can see here, we are following, let's say, Lazarus Group, and we are following it on a daily basis, seeing what they do, how do they try to send phishing on a daily basis to, I would say, a lot of our customers. So this is like a huge challenge. And I have to tell you, and I'm going to be on time and finish in, let's say, 1 minute, and to, I would say, finish my presentation. You will not be able to block all, I will go back to this map. You will not be able to block or handle all the attack surface. Never, ever, you will not. This is why the attackers are always succeeding and we are failing, I would say, most of the time. We need to do our best. We need to protect, and 90% protection is wonderful. And of course, if we are talking about office environment is the most important one, and the personal office environment is also critical. If you will know how to protect it and monitor it and do the right stuff, then we will be much more protected than before. And it's a huge challenge. We lose a lot. We fight every day. And I think that trying to share information with you, trying to figure out what can be the right way, the right methodology, the right monitoring, the right threat intelligence will give you or supply to you, I would say, better defense. And I also have to tell you that it seems that you have done good things in the past 6 months or so. It seems to me that there are much less computers that were vulnerable than right now than there was half a year ago. And with this, I want to thank you for everyone. I'm 1 minute after my time, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer in the Zoom that I have opened for you. And my email is for you or through Ayelet and the staff. And thanks again for everyone.
Thank you very much, Boaz. That was very, very insightful. And there are some questions for you, but because of the shortness of time, I would like to dive straight into the next presentation. And I would like to hand over now to Mr. Yossi Aviram, who's Director of International Cooperation at the INCD. Mr. Aviram, please take the stage.
Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you, Ayelet, for this opportunity. And thank you, Boaz, for your wonderful presentation. And thanks to the participant. Good morning to everybody. I will try to share my screen. Let me know if you can see that, please. Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So I like to call my presentation thinking outside of the box because I believe that cyber is very different than the other classical domains. And I'll elaborate a little bit on that. I'll cover the cyber as a phenomena, the role of the government, talk about some use cases that the government is doing here in Israel, and talk, of course, about the cyber opportunities that I'm sure we'll be able to meet the solutions right after this presentation. Personally, I like to divide the times between BC and AC, and that's before cyber and after cyber, because cyber has very different characteristics. When we talk about the classical domain, we talk about range and deployment and resources, and the weather is an issue, logistics, kinetic retaliation, sovereignty is very clear, and the enemy is very clear. But in cyber, many of these considerations are irrelevant, and many other considerations pop in, like third-party involvement, like a big gap in human resources, gap in international norms. We care more about the attacks, less about the attackers. There is an involvement of non-state actors and multinational corporations that affect the cyber world, the cyber sphere, much more, sometimes much more than countries. And all of this brings to the question, what is exactly cyber and what is the place of the government and the private sector in this regard? Because in the traditional threats, the government knows exactly where it needs to be. There is an attacker on one side of the border, the citizens are on the other, and the government sends the troops right on the frontier to protect the citizens. Obviously, it's a bit more complicated than that, but I try to simplify it here. And in cyber attacks, they are already within the premises of the civilian sphere, within the companies' networks, the private sector, the critical infrastructure, and also the government entities. So the government and the private sector need to ask each party what exactly is the role. So we have learned that cyber is a domain, is a professional domain that merits expertise, and there is a big gap, a huge gap actually, in knowledge and in human resources that are skilled in cyberspace. We're talking in numbers of millions of people missing in the world. It's going to be about 5 million in the next 3 years, according to different estimations. It touches all of our modern life. You know, we talk, we converse, we study, we shop, we do everything online, especially after the corona, and Boaz have touched that as well. So the attack surface is rising, critical infrastructures are in danger, etc. It's a very dynamic sphere. Every year we have 170 million new malwares per year, and I think this number is already not updated that much. And of course, it's cross-sectorial. So we need to ask, what is the role of the government? What are the obligations of the private sector to secure, to inform, to ensure, and how to build both trust and, I guess, cooperation between all actors. And we really need to think outside of the box in many cases, because in regular domains, there is a very clear distinctions between the regulator and the private sector, between the government and the private sector. Here, a cooperation is needed, and you need to rethink the relations. Here at the INCD, we are responsible to provide services basically to the entire market. I leave out the defense and intelligence community. We work with them, of course, but they are responsible to protect their own. But other than that, we're responsible to secure the government agencies, critical infrastructures, essential services, industries, small and medium businesses, and the man in the street. Obviously, we do not do that in the same level of engagement. There is a different level of engagement, a different commitment to each of these sectors, and also different authorities. For government, for critical infrastructure, we do have the authority by law to be basically their regulator. But other than that, the entire economy, except those critical infrastructure, it's on a voluntary basis. And to do that, we really need to build trust and to bring to the table added value so that they will be able to work with us. This is why we are a civilian agency and not an intelligence agency, because many of the businesses would not want intelligence agencies looking over their shoulder into their system, knowing what is happening. And we basically are aimed at helping them, at assisting them. We are responsible, but everybody else is responsible 100% as well. So first use case I want to present is our call center. It's on the national cert. There is a number that anybody in Israel could call and report on cyber incident. It works 24/7. It's a free service for the entire market. Your grandma could call and a business could call. Of course, there are other ways of communication and different levels of engagement, but in parallel in providing a service, this also serves as a sensor. So the government, the cyber agency knows what is happening in the market, in the cyber sphere. If we get a few calls about the ransomware that is going on various businesses, we know that something is happening and we will put more attention to it. And actually this is, I think, the first call center on cyber ever established in the world. Since then, there is one in Romania, and we have a lot of talks with other countries that wish to, and also states within countries who wish to duplicate this model. Another concept is the sectorial SOCs, and right in the same building, the same installation, we do have several sectorial SOCs like financial, energy, public security, government SOC, etc. I want to focus on the financial center, and I will tell you more in a minute. A very important pillar is information sharing, and some of the information sharing organizations use email, distribution lists, portals, etc. What we have developed here is the Facebook for cyber professional. It's a platform, we call it CyberNet, where CISOs and other professionals for IT security can hook, can link. They are approved. It's not that anybody could link to that. You have to be pre-approved for that. And here we do share relevant and timely information on cyber attacks. And we, as the government, are not the only one to share them. it is shared, the information is shared also by the businesses themselves. So we have banks sharing information anonymously on attacks that they are experiencing, so that the other players in the same sectors could see and receive this important information. It is going to be also in English, and hopefully we will have a better model, because we have a vision for something that is much more elaborated, that could go global as well. I talked about the financial sector, and I want to mention the immediate ROI from building such a center. It could be government, but it could be also sectorial. If you have like a banking association or something like that, this kind of center would be very helpful, because all of the actors could share the costs, and it would benefit all the sector. This is an example of an attacker who basically mimicked all the sites of the banks. You see here mimics of the sites. And he, using PayPal, phishing emails, reset your account, etc. He started collecting credentials to go into the bank account of people. And within 20 minutes, this attack has been blocked, because it was shared in the cybernet to all the actors, and the banks could immediately block the relevant IP. This saves money. It costs money, but it saves much more. So this is something definitely to be considered. Another use case could be the supply chain. There are different mechanisms in the world for certifying products, for certifying services. We aim here at a basic cyber hygiene level for every suppliers. Of course, it would be different, and this is not actually, of course, the trick here is that every supplier would have to stand on a minimum level that is adequate and relevant to the services or to the product that he supplied to his customer. So the customer basically would define what is this supplier for him, and then this supplier would get a questionnaire. We have an app for it, and he would answer specific questions and also add evidence. And this is a relation between the client and the provider, because we have seen, and as you see here in the numbers, that many of the breaches happen because of supply chain, and we have seen SolarWinds and of course others. And many of the businesses, they don't have visibility to their supply chain, and they don't have a process to evaluate. There are a lot of countries where you just have to rely on a supplier's declaration that he is good at cyber. Here we have developed an app, an application where the customers and the suppliers could meet and basically provide evidence that they are meeting the standards. It is based on NIST standard, it is based also on ISO standards, and the standards and the controls could change, but they are very, very specific. And the way that you have to check them is also very, very specific. If we look at in general on regulations, they are in a very high level. Here, this is an application that is really going down, to the nuts and bolts, telling the auditors and telling the suppliers what they need to check. Another thing to look at, for example, is the issue of insurance. And I'm talking about global insurance or the global insurers, the big insurers. If we try to analyze the cyber catastrophe or cyber plagues, it could really affect a nation when we close, for example, a maritime port, or where we damage when the cloud is damaged. There are different scenarios, and they cost a lot of money, or the damage is a lot. But this could go, it could be contained within the country, or it could be a very big disaster. So the country needs to ask itself, what is the level of catastrophe that I'm willing to absorb? And maybe I should engage with the insurers and make sure that the businesses are insured, and that if a big catastrophe happens, then I, as the government, would backstop, would support those insurers, so that the services will not fall, and that they would go back normal operation. So it's another area to consider, obviously with a lot of challenges, but the idea is that governments have to speak with insurers, with insurance companies, not only in their country, but also global, and have a discussion on the national backstop and what is the accepted risk and the accepted cost that they are willing to bear. Boaz mentioned also the issue of ransomware, and you can see here the numbers of the average cost, actually pay, and the average cost of 16 days of shutdown in average. And again, the numbers could change and vary a lot, but it just gives you an idea. There are pays that are much higher than this. Remember, a pipeline, they've paid over 5 million, Colonial Pipeline, they've paid over, I think, $5 million or something like that. So there is a big variation in that as well. When we look at COVID, and again, I don't want to repeat what Boaz have mentioned, but you can see here, of course, the big leap in life online, in meeting and telemedicine, etc. And you can also see here some examples of attacks against critical infrastructure. World Health Organization was attacked. Hospitals were attacked. 400 health installations in UK, Australia, US, and other places have been ransomware. Chilean bank was attacked. Water systems have been attacked. It really touches physical infrastructures, not just IT. Gas, water, etc. And this is, of course, very, very troubling. During the COVID area, the INCD has insisted that cyber security will be an essential service, so that people that are working in this domain would be able to move freely and give those services, because it is important and because this is exactly the time when attackers are trying and are using this opportunity to attack. We have seen many companies stop working from their offices, working from home, as Boaz mentioned. And this, of course, made a huge increase of the attack vector. And this needs to be mitigated and dealt with. Also, when you come back to the office, you have, again, to rearrange all the access and the privileges. You have to remap everything. We had to remap all the health sector, because the health sector was not a critical infrastructure before the COVID, and during the COVID we realized that it is, and we need to give it assistance. And we have provided cyber services free to the hospitals, for example, to put them in a higher level. Another initiative that we had is called the marketplace, because when you have a demand for firms that are providing these kind of services, there are a lot of people who would suggest these services without having the right knowledge or the right background. So we have vetted, in a way, several services that we say, yeah, these companies are fine, you could trust them. We've put it in a site, in a platform, so that people could know at least that they could minimally, of course, we can't vouch 100%, but we have vetted them on a minimal level. I want to talk also about the opportunities that cyber brings, not only the challenges. I mentioned the challenge of human resources. So what we have done to meet that challenge is to invest a lot in education. We have invested, not fully, just half, of cyber centers in all of our state universities. Each university is doing something else. And we are promoting a lot of programs, again, not solely, the government is doing that with NGOs, with the Ministry of Education and other actors, to provide cyber and IT education to different population. It could be people, youth from the periphery, away from the center of Israel. It could be specific classes for girls. We call them cyber girls with a Z. Other special populations like ultra-Orthodox, who normally don't study math, don't study English, they study religious subjects, but they do have the logics. So we are working with them, and in 6 months, they can become, and they have become, full stack developers. And also soldiers that are leaving the military, they do have the potential, 6 months of a course, and they come out as a full stack developer with cybersecurity focus on it. Israel is also known for a lot of cyber simulators and cyber education companies. And I urge you to, when you can, to visit this, and you could do this also online. I'm sure that Ayelet and the team, and others would assist in that. You could have a cyber attack simulation sitting in Ghana, mimicking your organization, you know, and practicing your team. What could be better than that? I want to touch also on the issue of high tech and cyber tech. If we go back to the 90s, the export of high tech and the export of lemons and citrus was the same from Israel. It was about $100 million per year. And the government invested $100 million in the high tech. And you can see here how a few years later, and also established a VC fund, when there was no VC fund, maybe only one. Now you see that the high tech is exporting more than 50% of our export. And in cyber, the numbers are really absolute. And Ayelet mentioned that in the beginning, 41% of the cyber investment in the world, private cyber investment in the world, are here in our firms. So this is really a place to come and visit. And these are the pride slide. There was a scary slide, I think Boaz mentioned, and this is the pride slide. You're more than welcome to visit us both physically or virtually, and get, you know, see for yourself. We have established a cyber ecosystem in Beersheba, although there are, of course, other places where you could find both high-tech and cyber firms in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Ra'anana, and others. But in Beersheba, we try to put the different elements. We have an academy there, which is Ben Gurion University. We have the government there, the National CERT, the military technology unit are going to be there as well, the J6 and SIGINT unit. And there are going to be 15 buildings. At the moment, there are 4 buildings, but it is being built. And you can see here a list of the different companies from the world that are coming and bringing their research and development centers to do cyber here. Think of lunchtime, where you have people from the government, people from the military, people from the academy, and people from the industry sitting together and thinking cyber. I know that cyber is a virtual world, but it's all about people eventually. So when people meet and talk, good things could come out. There are, of course, other national initiatives, again, using the same components of academy, big businesses, small businesses, and help or assistance of the government. When I say assistance, it's not just support in money, which is little, it's also support in data. So for example, the FinSec, Financial Security Initiative, we have MasterCard, we have NL, and we have also small startups that are providing and developing solutions for the financial sector. Same will be with the medical security, with smart transportation, etc. We do have other initiatives like aviation cybersecurity, maritime cybersecurity. I'm not going into more details in that regard. You can see here again the numbers. I mentioned the 41%. It used to be that a few years back, it was like raising $1 billion a year. Now it's like $2 billion a quarter. The numbers are really rising because the challenge is rising. These are again pride slides. I'm going to skip that, but you can see the differences between the US, which is of course much bigger than us. 63 times the economy of the US is bigger than Israel, but Israel is number 2. And if you look also on the companies in the US, about 80 of them are founded by Israelis in the US. Here you can see the numbers per capita. Again, a comparison on the investment in high tech, investment in cyber. And I guess these numbers are not updated as well, probably much higher. So to conclude, because of COVID and not just, but mainly because of COVID, we do live in uncharted times, and the challenge is growing maybe in an accelerated pace. Maybe without COVID, we would have gotten there, but in a slower pace. But I think COVID has accelerated us like 15 years into the future, at least in online and in attack vector. So this is really the time for teamwork and for cross-sectoral collaboration. And I believe that agility and flexibility are really keys to handle the new normal, and the new normal is changing. We go into quarantine, we go out of quarantine, different rules, our online life are changed and are adapted. So we really need to be flexible in that regard. Israel do offer a sectorial cyber maturity survey. If this is of interest to any of the sectors here in Ghana, please contact me. We could talk about that. This is kind of a growing cooperation. It will also be adopted by the World Bank that we're working with. So I think there is a potential here. I mentioned the pride slides on being a cyber hub, and you've seen the video in the beginning. I just want to mention that sharing is caring, and information sharing is important. So our CERT is open for information exchange, whether you have national CERTs, organizational CERTs, or sectorial CERTs. And as a government, we are here to support the Ghanaian government or sectors or regulators with the government knowledge and with a G2G umbrella, should you need to really expose and provide the great solutions that we have here that you will see quite soon. I think I'm the one who is separating you between those solutions. So before I leave, I just want to mention that we have Cyber Week. It's a yearly conference. This year it's going to be this July 19th to 22nd, sorry. It's going to be both virtual and physical. And I believe Ghanaians could travel. I'm not sure what are the regulations in Ghana. Obviously, if you're vaccinated and everything, but you could check that online. If not, you could do this, join us virtually. And we're also going to participate both as Israel, but also the INCD at the Expo Dubai starting this November. And we have a financial exercise, we have a cyber exercise, we have aviation cybersecurity, and perhaps a hackathon in 2022. So you're more than welcome if you have a chance to visit us there as well. You have my email here, and if you need anything, please either through Ayelet or directly, whichever works best. If there is a question or not, I'm here. I don't know how you're doing by time. Thank you very much, Adam, and thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aviram, for your presentation. It's important that you mentioned the upcoming Cyber Week event. We're working with the Trade Mission, and as we usually do, we'll bring a good delegation to Israel. The Chamber always brings a good delegation to the cyber events in Israel. And it may be too late now to join in person because we are very far advanced with the approval process, but you can join virtually. But again, the Chamber brought a delegation to the last Cybertech event in Dubai. And so we would also bring a delegation to the part that concerns Israel in Expo 2020. And we will bring a delegation also to the next Cybertech, which I think will happen in January, usually happens in January in Israel. So if you're interested to visit Israel in person to have a first-hand experience of what's happening in terms of the cybersecurity sector, please reach out to the Ghana Israel Business Chamber. I've already dropped my email address. I'll drop it again. My colleague Mamiya has also shared a link to forms that you complete to participate in the B2B. So if you have interest in meeting any of the companies, kindly complete the form. Our next presentation will be done by Mr. Paslev Dani, and I'd like to hand over to you now, Paslev, if you're...
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon in Ghana. I saw the list of participants. Some of the names are very familiar and we know each other from my past visits in Ghana, so good to see you all. Thank you, Boaz and Yossi. Yossi, you just make a bridge to the issue of my presentation, what I wanted to do with you. As I understand, we are talking about more educational stage, and it's really fun. It's more fun than marketing. I am a visiting professor in several Israeli universities, and my goal is right now to talk about cyber attacks and advanced persistent threat. Many people are familiar with these buzzwords. Many people from this very honorable group are familiar with cyber and know what is cyber, but they never actually saw what is required to build cyber defender. We do talk about SOCs and CERT and collaboration, but at the end of the day, there is a huge shortage of qualified cyber professionals. And my goal is to show what is required on the level of skills and knowledge to create this kind of professionals. So we will start from what is this cyber attack and why it's so important for us. My colleague, our system engineer, will move the slides for me because many of my presentation is, a lot of from my presentation is live demo. And as Yossi mentioned, we're talking about cyber simulations, and we're gonna use one of the cyber simulators to show you how actually the things are working. So let's start from what is a strategical threat regarding cyber. Also, Boaz and Yossi talked about it. Right now, we are aware of state and superpower level threat that are spreading. They are using very sophisticated tools to target our infrastructure. We are talking about cybercrime. We always know about cybercrime, but exactly the way that good guys are collaborating to each other and sharing information, the bad guys are doing it much better. They're doing it very well. And they're sharing information and sharing tools. And we have serious problem on the cybercrime area. There is a cyber attack in critical infrastructure, which are attacking the power plants, the water supply, electrical company, and so on. And at the end of the day, it creates danger for human lives. Large-scale espionage. The last but not the least, the influence and disinformation campaigns in internet and use of publicity available malware by threat actors. At the end, we are talking about first and most important weaponization of the cyber domain. The tools that are good guy and the government are developing in cyber domain, most of the tool or many of these tools are now on the hands of the bad guys. The lack of attribution, we don't know who to blame for. We are under attack and sometimes there is no other side on the equation. The widening skills gap and less trained expert, and it brings me to this session. We don't have enough cyber professionals. And attackers eyeing at the new technologies much more faster than we are. This is a problem. Our students, our people that we are educate need to be in line with modern technology. And now there is a gap between the good guys and the bad guys. So in few words, what do we need, first of all, on the high level to address these threats? The idea, and this is a fundamental idea from companies that I'm representing. I'm representing Israeli Aerospace Industry, which is the largest defense company in Israel. National grade challenges require national grade solution. It's everyone's business. It's not something that small company can secure themselves and that's it. We need to secure the ecosystem. It involves technology. It involves methodology. There is a need for constant innovation, cooperation, and of course, capacity buildup. Train the people. So in many presentations that I saw and in many exhibitions that we are talking about, people are talking about big buildings block. National SOCs, security agencies, activity inside the cyber domain, CERT, information sharing, forensic, everything is good. And if we learn something in Israel, that there is a super important, it's crucially important to have national level strategy and incident response advanced capabilities and the resilience and certain SOC and everything that you see in this slide. But most important, it's a human resource. How to train our people, how to train our professionals, how to train the C-level and managers on different entities. Human resource is a crucial part of cyber ecosystem. Government and operational is important. We do need organization structure, and Yossi talked about it beautifully. Private and public sectors, the resilience, the awareness, the information sharing. But we need to build up the human resource and training process, cyber academia, cyber professions, and cyber education. Now we're going to dive a little bit into the cyber attack as we see it. People that know cyber, probably smiling right now. It's one of the basic things in cyber, but still, we're going to say it. There is a several stage in cyber attack. It's a not isolated event. There is a pre-hack process when attackers are trying to create reconnaissance, to learn us, to learn our weaknesses, try to weaponize himself according to what we have and trying to deliver the first and slow step inside our organization. This part can take weeks, months, maybe years. And sometimes we cannot see it. It's part of the process. We are under attack, but we are not aware of it. And then there is a post-attack phase, the exploitation, someone trying to control our system, to execute the malicious code and maintain the access to our system. Inside exploit, there is several phases. How to do the actual exploit. I'm not going to dive into this specifically because I do want to show you the real screens and the real scenarios of the exploitation, but it's a very complicated process that attacker doing against our facility. So what is APT, Advanced Persistent Threat? This is a very sophisticated attack that tries to access or steal or damage the information from our computers. Before there was a myth that APT can be done only by stakeholders, by governments, but we talked about weaponization of cyber domain. Everyone can use very sophisticated tools. We are talking about advanced combination of methods and tools, persistent, the continuous holding of our system, continuous monitoring and interaction, and very low and slow approach in cyber attack. And of course, what is a threat? The attacker is skilled, motivated, organized, and most of the time, very well founded. This is a couple of examples of threat path that we can see not only on small organization. In this case, we can see a complex multi-layered threat stack, for example, electric company. Some of the terms, IT and OT. IT, this is information technology, the regular networks that we can see. And OT network, most of the cases, it's a industrial SCADA system, industrial controls. Most of the time they are outdated and very vulnerable. So governmental critical infrastructure can be compromised from IT level by malware or spear phishing or external device or some macros, and from OT network by some lateral movement inside my network, remote access, and the level of controls. And of course, it can be top down and bottom up. We can be vulnerable on each interface. Couple of examples. This is, for example, the Ukrainian power grid attack. It cost millions of dollars and huge damage to the economy. It was started by some malicious email that the attacker sent to this entity. And some of the employees there were not aware enough to open it. So there was a compromising of corporate system. There was stealing of user password and remote access. I'm talking, if you can see my my mouse point, just a second. They cannot see, they cannot show it. Yes, just a second. Okay. And then they stole the password and get the remote access control to the attacker. And then there was a huge process which took a lot of time from the internet to get through the external firewalls and get a control on the system network and the end on the remote substation to shut down them. So it was a huge attack with very big damage to the economy. Another example is a German steel mill attack. Once again, phishing mails, getting access to corporate IT, getting access to industrial IT, and then the low level of OT. More than $10 million damage. And the last one, before I'm going dive into the screen and live demo simulation, what is a weapon in cyber domain? This is an example of something that you can easily find in internet. This is a tool that can actually, and I'm not trying to marketing this tool, but you can use this kind of tool to attack someone else's system without being, without pre-knowledge or be very sophisticated in your attack. Someone already did it for you. So what we are going to do right now, I'm going to use one of the simulators. It's called Steamrange. This is a platform for teaching cybersecurity specialists. Consider it as a war room. Inside the system, there is organization. We can run different cyber attacks on very isolated infrastructure. We can do training of red team, the attackers, the blue team, the defenders, the white team. Inside the tools, there is Cyrillicums for different cyber education, including some labs. Teacher can manage the learning process. It's very important. Most of the teachers in cyber, they are not hackers, but they need to be able to evaluate the level of the students. And there is a different hardware configuration to allow the attack. And next slide, please. What we're gonna see in the simulation, we can see very regular or typical organization. In this organization, there is internet access. There is number of workstation. There is number of servers, SQL servers, web server, file server, exactly as we can see in every typical organization. And of course, we can see the security setup. there is a security servers and security computers to manage the security in the organization. What we're gonna do right now is click. Okay. We're gonna start the attack together and see how the defender can see the first indicators and the malicious activity. What is his roadmap of investigation in real time, and the attacker steps, what he actually did. So right now, my partner, my friend, is gonna start the attack. Can you please start the attack? What we can see here, we have different steps for attack. Like, for example, send the spear phishing email, open phishing email, different steps. We already did it as a hacker, and we're gonna run these steps on our students. In this case, we don't have students, but on real life, each place that you can see here, each environment, this is a group of students that we are attacking them. So right now, there is attack on the computers. We don't know what, we don't know when. Sometimes this kind of attack can take a month. What we do know, and I'm giving you a spoiler, someone, or actually two of our computers got some malicious email. Can you see the email, please? Right now I'm getting in the real student computer. I'm opening his email account. Okay, and there is the email. We know that we are not supposed to open emails from unauthorized source, and in this case, we did. Can you please come back to the PowerPoint? Okay. So, couple days from this incident, the defender got the first indicator, and his antivirus program, he got some threat alert. In this threat alert, and you can see by the red arrows, we know that there is some computer that was infected. We know that antivirus found something, found some vulnerability, some compromised event. We don't know what is it. And from this point, the defender is starting his journey right now. Next slide, please. As part of his investigation, our cyber defender found this email and started to examine this email to see what's happened. And by surprise, he found some IP address. Excuse me. First of all, he found the explanation of this Microsoft security vulnerability. And he found it in the internet, according to the threat. And by the information that he found, he started this investigation. And then he found the email. He found some malicious IP inside the email that he need to check. Next. And then, and this is very important, and that's why I put it in my presentation, it's not a solo job. He cannot be one-man show. He need assistance from his IT team. Part of his findings, he found something that is speaking to other addresses through the firewalls, and the IT expert probably assist him to find this one. Another area that was huge assistance for him, he found in the SIM system, this is part of the baseline security, some IP address that someone is approaching him. We don't have much time, so we're gonna run through the attack. Next slide, please. Some forensic expert started to investigate it according to the knowledge, according to his founding and the previous steps, and found that Internet Explorer is trying to get to communicate it with some IP address. Is it some playbook, is something that he know it before? No, we don't know it. It's a part of investigation. Next slide. Another step, and we are using publicly free tools. We are not using something certificated. In this case, we are using the WinSys system. We found that Internet Explorer working with Notepad. You know, Notepad, the simple Notepad in our computer, but it doesn't supposed to be there. It's not supposed to talking to the web. Next slide, please. So we are moving forward with our forensic investigation, and we are finding inside our Notepad something that can be malicious, the logger. Next one. And suddenly we can see that our malicious code are spreading everywhere in the organization. I'm not explaining every screen here, but here is some of the tools that we are using in a regular forensic investigation to find the malware. Next one. So what happened in my organization? What was the cyber attack that we can see? There was an email at first, and after this email was opened by two endpoint station, there was exploitation. I'm holding in this one. Ladies and gentlemen, this phase can take weeks. It can take a month. This is why we are talking about slow and slow. And then there was some malicious payload inside our network. It was injected to our very standard procedures like Notepad and Explorer. There was spreading of the attack inside our network and controlling of our system by the hacker. This is an APT attack that could take weeks and months. What the attacker used? He used a very regular system like Kali. Next one. Next one. And in this case, what defender should do? What is the gap of skills? What is the requirements of cyber defender to protect ourselves from very simple attack? There was a malware infection in first, and then there was some exploit used. We found it in internet. And the defender should investigate the logs and to block the IP on the firewall. So he need to know the IT skills, not only the cyber, the IT, how to configure the firewall, how to work with IT services. Next. He needed to find all infected processes. In this case, he need advanced knowledge in forensic process. He needed to find the entry point in the specific workstation, to find the phishing page, to find the dropper, to kill the malware, to verify the persistency and research the Trojans that we got, to find the compromised account in my organization and sometimes to recover them by changing the password. And of course, to block the sender, to prevent the continuous of attack, find all the recipients of the malicious email and warn them, please don't open the email. And to install all the relevant patch to ensure that this event will never happen again. To make sure that antivirus and so on and so on. So what we saw from this process, and now I'm once back connecting to mainstream of our presentation. Time is crucial. To deal with cyber event, time is crucial. So there is a need for multidiscipline training process. We cannot ask from people who are trained only on IT staff to be prepared for sophisticated modern attack. This world is very dynamic. Everything is changing. So people who are dealing with cyber need to be on the first line of knowledge. Every day is a new day and every day is a place to learn new stuff. IT knowledge is not enough, and there is a need for realistic cyber training environment to complete the training. Yossi, the previous speaker, talked about it. In Israel, we have several solutions. Right now, I showed you the Steamrange. This is a product of Israeli Aerospace Defense. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I learn. The cyber defense process is on tip of our hands, on tip of our fingers. We need to feel it, we need to train it, we need to be inside. Next slide, please. So as part of the cyber training solutions that we are providing the holistic approach to academia, not only to teach high school, but also to create certificate cyber core professionals. Very important part of the cyber education, this is international certification, because we need a motivation for young people to be in this world and to provide them the ability to find, to be occupied as a cyber defenders. Our cyber range provides real technical operational life scenario. This is crucial. And of course, huge part of the training is not only the technical stuff, but also the decision makers and the management level, because they are in charge of business process as part of cyber attack. Next slide. This is, for example, concept of operation of really working cyber trainings based on our Steamrange, for example, but we are building a different paths for cyber education, for example, ethical hacker, fundamentals, and so on. We are involving deeply with partnership with universities, private sector that want to train their teams and platforms and make sure that they are protected. And of course, it's a huge interest of governmental entities to create very trained cyber and the high-skilled cyber force. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was my part. I hope I was in time on my part. And Ayelet, I'm passing it to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paslev. We would like to open the floor now for some questions. And if you have a question, we'll give you a few minutes to express that, and the panelists in this general session will address your questions before we all move into the breakout session rooms, the breakout rooms. My colleague Mamiya will give more information on that shortly. But here we're open for questions. And just to say, I just want to add briefly that for those of you that, for those people that participated in this workshop, the Ghana Israel Business Chamber will provide certificates of participation upon request. And so you can send an email to me or to my colleague Leslie if you'd like to receive a certificate for your participation in this workshop. The floor is open now for questions. Would anyone like to ask a question? Or can we move on straight? I'll wait for another 1 minute. And then we'll assume that if there are no questions, we'll assume that everything that was said was clear and understandable.
Hello.
Or that it was not at all. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question to
Osman,
ask.
this is Osman Seydu. Kindly introduce yourself and ask your question.
Yes, please. I have just a small question, actually. I think this course is a very nice course, actually. But with one or two things about cyber security and cyber crime, I think this second lecture was able to take us through some stimulation and other things, which has enlightened us much. But you know, with cybersecurity, without hands-on, all that you are doing will not be exactly give you a better output. So I'm trying to ask, would there be a need for 1 or 2 hands-on for us to see and then experience the effectiveness? Because cyber security and cyber crime is a practical and hands-on thing. Would there be some opportunity? Thank you very much, Adam.
Okay, I think that the chamber can work with the trade mission again to see if we can do when we do a follow-up to this training, if we can have some hands-on. But I am also aware that some of the Israeli companies have training facilities, like training services, that allow you to have some more hands-on practical training. I don't know if any of the companies here have that capacity that they would like to share. Elta, Mr. Paslev, you talked a little bit about your training programs. I mean, how hands-on can you get?
So I will happily answer this question. First, before the corona, we were in the very deep process of deploying our simulators at Ghana. And we have very good conversation with Ministry of Communication and other entities in Ghana with our local partners. Corona, for obvious reason, a little bit stopped the process, but the idea is to deploy this kind of technology on-prem in Ghana. And the solutions that we are working on as a government-owned company, it's very important for us as a part of Israeli-Ghana relationship to create, first of all, create a train-the-trainer process to educate professionals in Ghana who could operate the whole operation and start the hands-on, exactly as our good friend just asked. The hands-on is crucial. And the idea is to build the facility in Ghana. And right now we are in a process for it. Some of the solution can be deployed on cloud. So we do open for partnership with Ghana partners to work together. It can be done only with Ghana's partners because you need foot on the ground to create this kind of solution. But in the business-to-business session, and me personally is open to work with any entity in Ghana to move this process forward.
Thank you. I could take 1 or 2 more questions, if there are any questions. I could take 1 or 2 more.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, my name is
Eric
Tinkrai. My question is that I just want to find out the mechanism that these criminals, they use to attack smart TVs and then smart watches.
Hello, faculty. Is there anyone who would like to react to this question?
I may answer.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so there is a lot of mechanism, and for obvious reason, I really try to avoid to explain how that works on the open web. Please forgive me for not being not to promote the hacking tools, but in the general, everything that we have and everything there is an interface with internet and with the network have their own vulnerabilities. On the dark web, on the deep web, there is a huge amount of information that hackers are exchanging to each other, how to use these vulnerabilities. And not only it's knowledge sharing, there is a tools that was developed by someone and was given by free or not free to hackers, to bad guys to use them for. I strongly encourage you to read about it, but I will not describe the exact mechanism with your permission.
Thank you.
Hello.
I think I understand clearly why you may not want to fully explain that, but I think Mr. Odro Kwating has a question.
Yeah, hello. Mine is in the form of a request. I was wondering if a copy of the recorded version of the whole program can be sent to us, or we could get some of the slides of the presentation after the whole program. That would be very, very nice.
Yes, Joseph, that will be, we'll send links to all the participants so you know where to pick up to watch the video or to see the slides. I'm not sure that we're going to get the slides from the presenters, but if they share it with us, we'll share with you. However, I know that we're going to put the video up for viewing. Thank you. So I'd like to hand over now to my colleague, Mamiya. Mamiya will throw some light on the B2B sections, throw some light on the breakout sessions. Mamiya, if you're here, kindly take it up from here.
Thank you very much, Adam. Right, so we would be moving into the breakout rooms based on the list of participants and the backgrounds that we have. There are 3 breakout rooms that we'll be moving into. We have the government and regulatory breakout room, where we would have 2 presentations, one from Octopus and the other from Waterfall Security. Octopus will be talking about protecting your critical network infrastructure, and Waterfall will be talking about targeted ransomware requires new approaches to OT cybersecurity management. So this would be 30 minutes each of these presentations in the breakout room. We have the large public infrastructure breakout room, which is going to be managed by Danny, who just finished his presentation. He will be speaking on what is required of cyber teams to protect government infrastructure. So that's also a 30-minute lecture. And then we have the finance breakout room, which is going to be managed by May Mickelson from GK8 and Leah from LT Risk Management. May will be talking on introduction to digital assets custody, what is important to know. And Leah will be talking about the next generation of cyber risk management, business penetration test. So this is going to be 30 minutes each. After these breakout rooms, after the sessions, the speakers would be available for a very short time for B2B meetings. I've seen that people have started filling out the forms. There are still a few slots available, so you can book B2B meetings to discuss further if there are partnerships, business opportunities that you would want to explore with these companies. You can fill the form. I've shared the link, but I will share it again after when I finish speaking, and you can book to have a B2B meeting with any of them. But I would encourage that once I open the breakout rooms, you are free to select the breakout room that you want to join. So we have the finance, we have the government and regulatory, and we have the large public infrastructure. And then we will start. Adam, I think breakout sessions start at 11:30. So we still have a few more minutes. I don't know if you would want us to take a quick break while we get ready to go into the breakout rooms. Hello, Adam.
I'm here.
Yeah, let me
when you want me to start.
If there are still questions that some of our participants want to ask, I'll keep the stage open for another minute or two to see if we have some questions. Otherwise, we'll take a short break and bounce back into the breakout rooms in 15 minutes.
Sorry, it's at 11:30, so it's less than 15 minutes, around
Less
11
than 15
minutes.
Yes, okay. So it's like 10 minutes.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes. Yes, Martin, go ahead.
Hello.
Martin, please go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Martin. Okay, I am Martin. I work with Securities Nation Commission. I want to know who regulates the activities of ethical hackers?
Okay. This question is, the questions are open to all our panelists, whether you've done your presentation or not. So if any of the panelists want to respond to this question, kindly let me know, or you can go ahead straight and address it. Martin wants to know how the activities of ethical hackers are regulated.
This is Mike Furstenberg from Waterfall Security. The activities for ethical hackers are subject to the same rules and regulations and local laws as anyone else. There are some certifications, such as the CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker, which provides guidelines on behavior and what is acceptable hacking and what is not. But there is no national or international body that provides any sort of regulation for ethical hacking.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any more questions? I'd like to add that I see that some people are sending their emails with respect to getting a certificate of participation in this workshop. If you want a certificate of participation, kindly drop your email or send us an email later, and we'll take care of that. I think we'll go for a short break, and after about 10 minutes, we'll come back and go straight into the breakout sessions. So you can stretch your legs a little bit. If you've been seated for a long time, you can grab a cup of coffee, because it's going to get even more interesting in a short while.
Adam, if we are going for a breakout session, why not provide us with some coffee or tea virtually?
Well, I can send you an emoji of a coffee cup, a digital one. Yes. I'm sure very soon we'll get back to having our physical events, which usually come with some refreshments. You see, this is what COVID took away from us, but I'm sure we'll get back to it very soon.
Sure.
Yes.
So Adam, who should we send the email to if we want a certificate of participation? Who should we send?
Actually, there are emails dropping in the chat comment section right now, and I'm taking note of all of that. But
okay.
I dropped my email earlier, and I'll drop my email again. So you can
so we can send to you privately too.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Hello? Which one were we using? Let me just see if it can. Hello?
Yes, Maria.
Yes, if you can hear me, I am just making an announcement that the breakout rooms are open and people can assign themselves to a room. So there are 3 of them, again, government, large infrastructure, and finance.
So, Mami, how do we get there? Is there a link we're supposed to connect to?
Right, so there's a prompt, and also if you look down at the tab on your screen where you have the mute, start video, security, you'll see breakout room. You can just click on that, and then it would give you the options, and you pick one to join.
Hello, please say that again.
So look at the bottom of the Zoom app.
If you look at the, yes, if you look at the bottom of the app where the chat icon is, you would see breakout room. Once you click on that, it will give you the options and you would pick one of them to join. I can't go into
Just tell you your name. Yeah.
Okay, so we are about starting with the breakout room sessions, and I still see that a number of you have not been able to join. Please, you can put in the chat where you want to be assigned to, and I will do that. You can put it in the chat and I would help assign you to a breakout room. Okay, I would do that for you, Oscar. Also, there are 3 breakout rooms. So government and then infrastructure. So infrastructure is Danny's breakout room. Danny Pasler just did the demonstration, the live demonstration for us. And then there's the finance breakout room. So kindly indicate and I would assign you if you haven't been assigned yet. Okay. I still have a considerable number here who are not assigned. Can you please put in the chat so I assign you? The breakout sessions have started. Okay. Right. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us in the breakout sessions. I know that we've all learned something very exciting, something new and useful. I would hand over to Edem to follow up with the closing remarks and the next steps after this. Edem, if you can hear me. Hello, Edem. Hello. Okay, in the absence of Edem, Ailet, are you able to take this up with a closing remark?
Of course. Hello, everybody. Hi, so thank you very much for joining us today for this training. I hope you learned and that it was informative and useful for you and for your operations. I definitely learned a lot, and but I guess I have a lot to learn because I'm not from the sector, so I'm not sure that counts. However, please stay in touch with us. Let us know how this training has been for you. Let us know what other programs would be useful. And of course, follow us. You can't hear me? People are saying that they can't hear me. Could you hear me now? Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know why that was said. Okay, so anyhow, please follow us on our LinkedIn page and of course, communicate with us if you want to meet any of these speakers that talked to us today to, and learn about opportunities for collaborations, or if anybody else. We have Cyber Week coming on at the end of the month. We are sending a delegation, a physical delegation. However, that is quite limited via because of the COVID, of course, but we will have also an online participation. So we will also send and share information about that in the coming days. So that will be another great opportunity to learn and explore the cybersecurity companies and sector in Israel. Thank you so much for joining today. And you will expect Mame, which is like, the mind and the hands behind this event is letting me know that you will expect a feedback form regarding the event. And it will be really helpful if you can fill it up so we can know how to improve for our further events. Thank you very much and have a continuous, useful and insightful and enjoyable day and week. And we hope to see you again in our next events. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.